Guys, when me and my wife first got together and we were living out in Arizona where we met, we raised our kids out there. And then after that, we moved, in that process, we moved around a lot. But after they graduated high school, we moved to different states. Now, out in Arizona, we had a house. You guys see, I got my hair cut done. But we had a house out there in Arizona, folks. Had an in-ground pool in the backyard, block wall all the way around it, and even had a diving board off one end. It had a deep enough. It was a deep enough pool to have a diving board off one end. Now back then, my kids were so small that when they were in water over their heads, they had some kind of floaty things under their arms or something they were floating on or whatever. Even though, they could swim from one end of the pool to the other, but if they were in water over their heads, they had some kind of floating device. They didn't know how good of a swimmer Watachi is. Now, years later, after they graduated high school, and we moved to Tennessee, and we lived Campbell County, Norris Lake, Jacksboro, La Follette, Caryville area, which was about 45 minutes northeast or northwest of Knoxville. If you don't know what Norris Lake is, it runs 3 states. It's got 900 miles of shoreline. It's a big lake. Now, back when we left Arizona and moved to Tennessee, I had cousins that had businesses and were doing real good at that time. And one of them had a $250,000 houseboat on Norris Lake. $250,000. Folks, it was 2-story slide off one end. The boat, it never left the dock. Never left the dock. The whole time my family member owned it. I had another family member that he was more into cars, Roadrunners, GTXs, Cudas, Demons, Dodge Power Wagons. They built multi-million-dollar homes. Had a 8-car garage with different cars in every garage, folks. Classic cars, hot rods. But when we moved there, the guy that had all the classic cars and everything, he had a 10-acre spread that went up the side of this mountain in La Follette, Tennessee. He built a 5,000 square foot house for himself, and his mom and dad lived in a double wide trailer up on the other side of the hill. 5,000 square foot house for himself, put his mom and dad in a double wide trailer on the same property. his mom and dad was the ones who owned the property. Now this guy had a lot of money, and there was times he had big boats out on Norris Lake and everything. But when we went there, he only had about a 30-foot houseboat on Norris Lake. And one day, I was working with him because his workers didn't have driver's licenses or anything like that. Most of them were DUI'd out of a license or some kind of drug charge or something, or they just never got a license. So he needed people to haul around his crew. So I did that for him. And one day, I took his crew about a 2-hour ride away and put them out on a job. 8 guys in a van. He come over and got me. He followed me basically over there. And as soon as I dropped the van off with them in it, I got in his truck. We went back to the lake. And we built a deck, 5 or 6 foot wide. It was long. It was 10 foot wide by about probably 20. It was the same size of his houseboat. We built a deck, floating deck, and tied it up to his houseboat. And then we went back over and I drove them guys home that day. Now, me and my son and my daughter and all of us, we were out there hanging out at the houseboat on the deck. We built, and I'll tell you what, folks, we built a roof. It was up above part of the deck, and then we even built a diving board that went up higher that you could jump off out into the lake. A few weeks later, we finally got it all done. But we're out there and we're swimming in Norris Lake, back in this holler on my cousin's houseboat, and enjoying. And the kids are jumping off the top into the lake and everything. We're like, now my son, I told him he was scared to go up. On the highest part that we built and jump off. But he was young, folks. He was grown, or he was after high school. And he was like, I can't swim that good, man. If I'm going to go up there and jump, all these kids were going up and jumping off. They didn't have no floaters under their arms or any kind of vests on or anything. They're going up and jumping off. Those people that lived around the water. Well, my son was scared of it. Didn't want to do it. He goes, I can't swim that good. I said, what do you need to know to swim? And he looked at me. Well, you need to know how to work your arms and legs. And I said, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You know what you need to know to float? Well, you need to have one of them body vests on or them floaters under your arms or something. I said, no, you're wrong. And I said, I'm going to show you and prove it to you right now. This was before I even went into the Marines, folks. I said, I'm going to prove it to you right now. And I jumped off the deck of that me and my cousin built for his houseboat. I jumped off into the water, horizontally, keeping my arms straight down. My legs weren't moving. I'm looking at He's up on the dock, the deck that we built. Am I swimming? I asked him. He goes, no. What am I doing? He goes, nothing. I said, no, I'm floating, ain't I? And he goes, oh, yeah, your head's, I'm not moving my arms or legs, either one, folks. And I'm talking to him on top of it. I'm not sinking. And I'm coming up higher out of the water in some cases than he ever even imagined. I'm going, David, look at me. I go, and I'm talking to him. And when I'm talking, I'm saying short things, taking a little bit of breath, saying short things to keep myself where the water was right here on me. Right here. And I'm talking to him. I'm not moving an arm or a leg. Am I drowning? No. Said, watch this. And I took a deep breath. And I raised my face up to almost looking him in the eye on the dock that he was laying on, looking at me. Almost brought myself, just with a breath, the water was way down here now. And I go, I said, tell me something. Do you need that? Do you really need that floating device when it's already built in? That boy, when he went into the Marines, they slapped a backpack on all of them. Full dress, boots, everything. They weren't in swimming gear, folks. They weren't in none of that. They were in what they might have been marching down a trail with or marching into a battle with. And my son, my stepson, when they told him to jump in that water, and they told them all, you can't be sloshing around. It ain't gonna help you. And when my son jumped into that water with the backpacks, the boots, the weapons, and everything they had on, my son stayed calm. He went, and he breathed. These other guys, they were panicking, splashing around, had to be dragged out of the water, and they were using my son as an example. Said, look at that man. He's wearing the same thing you are, the same weight, everything. And he's not sloshing around and stuff. He's not panicking because he knew what to do. Now, he told me when he came out of the Marines. I told him something and proved to him something that even the Marines claim is true. Guys, I can float on my back with my feet on top of my head and everything on top of the water, I can float that way. Or I can float horizontal in the water. I've known how to do that because Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit showed me how to do it. And my son showed a bunch of Marines how to do it. Guys, I love you. I don't. This stuff isn't. It's stuff I've done and stuff I've learned. But if I didn't do this stuff, how would have I learned it other than through Jesus? Wisdom, the truth, is through Jesus. Jesus is the truth. And if you don't have the truth, you don't even have wisdom, and you are living off of lies. People. I show what I know. No. I'm no better than you. Show me who's guiding your life. Jesus has been watching over me all my life. Who's watching over you?